Cottage Grove Parks, Recreation, and Natural Resources Commission meeting. Call to order. Roll call.
Taken.
The mission of the Cottage Grove Parks and Recreation Department is to create and promote policies, programs, places that enable active living for a more vibrant community. Okay, did everyone have a chance to look at the agenda? Do we have any questions?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as submitted.
I second.
Everyone in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, did everyone have a chance to go over the September 9th minutes?
Yes.
Any questions? Anything to add? All in favor? Or, I'm sorry, motion? Does anyone have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any open forum? Doesn't look like it. Okay,
None tonight.
presentations?
First presentation, Vice Chair, is winter programming, and I'll invite Recreation Services Manager Molly Petrozewski to present.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome. I am here tonight to get everybody caught up on holiday events in Cottage Grove. Obviously, I realize some of these have passed, so I just wanted to provide an update on those and just make sure that nothing is missed in these last few weeks before we enter 2025. So we did begin with the Hail to the Bird race at Hamlet Park the day of Thanksgiving morning. There was over 688 registered runners this year, donating over $7,500. That kind of kicks off the holiday train towards the Friends in Need food shelf. So it was the highest attended race that we have held so far down at Hamlet Park with this group. A great local group of guys continue to do a great job hosting it. Their goal is hopefully in 2025 to break 700 registered runners for the race. So we look forward to seeing them succeed in that. Secondly, we've launched our Holiday Lights home tour. As of November 12th, the link has been live on the website. And when I looked last week, there was probably like just shy of 40 houses that had submitted addresses. It's a great link. You can go in there and kind of start where you want to start and bring you house to house for those that have submitted that have either decorations, lights, or kind of the both through Cottage Grove. It's a nice, fun, family-friendly thing to do on a Friday or Saturday night, get out of the house and do something. That link will continue to be updated through December 16th, but it will stay live on the website through the new year too. So if you don't make it before Christmas, it will definitely be on for a few weeks after the holidays. Hometown Holiday was last Thursday here at City Hall. Over 500 people joined us for a festive evening of fun. We had a great time, bonfires, food trucks, live reindeer over here in the grass. Over 30 inflatables lit up the trail behind us. Kids games, we ran out of prizes. So 400 glow sticks were handed out, 1,200 cookies. Santa and Mrs. Claus were there. It was a great night. So we are kind of hoping that segues into what we can see for attendance this week for the holiday train. River Oaks held their breakfast last Sunday. It was sold out a couple weeks in advance, so I know a lot of people missed that great event, but it was sold out, and they took over 500 reservations for breakfast with Santa, including horse-drawn sleigh rides around the golf course. As I mentioned, CPKC Holiday Train arrives this Wednesday, the coldest date we've had this far. Cannot wait. I think we've talked, it'll be about 5 degrees when train arrives. So we're still encouraging people to bundle up, come out, see the train. It really is quick. It's only about a half-hour show, so still kind of a fun family tradition that continue. We do have a 20 by 40 warming house tent sponsored by Remax if you do need a spot to warm up. And again, the wagons will be running from the park and ride up to the event, making it really quick for you guys to get up on site immediately. This is the 20th year that the holiday train has stopped in Cottage Grove. Our goal this year and last year was $100,000. I can share that we have met that goal, and that does lead to our 20th anniversary goal of raising $2 million. So I'm not going to give away any surprises, so you have to wait and see if we've met that goal. But things are looking good, so we just need people to turn out Wednesday and continue to donate. It is a huge chunk of our Friends in Need's Food Shelf annual operating budget, so they heavily rely on this event to be successful. We always like to remind everybody that recreation isn't just kind of like a summer fun thing, and encourage people to get out and play this summer, whether it's at our parks, on our trails, warming houses, outdoor skating rinks, or indoor skating rinks at the ice arena, sledding hills, cross-country skiing down at River Oaks once we get enough snow, and snowshoes at Oakwood Park once we get enough snow. I think most of you know that we convert the kayak rental trailer into a snowshoe rental trailer for the winter. So to give you a little update on outdoor skating rinks and warming houses, they are always scheduled to open as of December 26th. It's looking like we're on track. Jim's hoping so. I'm hoping so. New this year, we will be adding Glacial Valley and continuing with Hamlet, Harside, Highlands, Old Cottage Grove, Peter Thompson, Pine Tree, and Woodridge. We are really getting down there to be still a big city that's still hosting a lot of outdoor rinks. We are very successful. We track our attendance, and our rinks are heavily used. So we as management justify that the need continues to be strong in our community to put the work and effort into staffing them, flooding them, getting them ready every day, keeping the buildings open and clean. So we look forward to seeing what that neighborhood in Glacial Valley can bring and how that rink works. We are able to host some hockey games there. There's an outdoor scoreboard. So it should be really exciting winter to see hockey at Glacial Valley Park. Noah, who I introduced earlier, is hosting a puzzle competition February 8th, again at Glacial Valley. It will be in the large rec room. We have rooms set up to host 12 teams competing as fast as they can to put the 500-piece Eric Dowdle puzzle together. So you do have to have one person on your team over the age of 18. You get to keep the puzzle. The cost is $40, and then there is prizes. We already have a handful registered, so we're assuming it's going to sell out pretty quick. Puzzle competitions are becoming more and more popular, so we're excited to kind of get on this trend in the middle of winter here in Cottage Grove as well. The Dust 'Em Off Vintage Snowmobile Show and Swap will be held January 4th. It's right on the corner there of 70th and Highway 19 from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. It's a great, it's a just like Hail to the Bird. It's a group of residents who put it together, so there'll be more information shared on social media. But they usually get a huge turnout, food trucks. Even if you're just looking for something fun to go and look at, it's a great opportunity to get out and see Cottage Grove differently, a little bit out there, and see some cool old stuff. They do lots of different tricks, radar guns, races, sled pulls, things like that. And that is all I have. I can stand for any questions that you guys might have.
Great update.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Did you say when the snowshoes is starting? Or, I mean, obviously there's no snow, but.
Yeah, we have
is
to
there-
have quite a bit of snow, so it typically is into like middle of January until we have enough on there. We'll definitely post it on social media and get the word out once they are, but historically, we're looking at mid-January before there's enough snow. There's gotta be quite a bit. Same with the cross-country skis at River Oaks. To get those trails groomed, there's gotta be quite a bit of substantially packed snow.
Is there gonna be rentals again? Was there rentals before?
Of skis.
No, of snowshoes.
Snowshoes, yes. The snowshoes are in the trailer, so the kayak trailer, so that'll be parked in the parking lot. So same thing, you can reserve it online, and then it emails you a code, you enter that code and you open it, and then they have like adult sizes, kid sizes, kind of family packs, things like that. There's lots of different options of sizes grouped together in the trailer.
Is River Oaks able to do ski rental or lessons yet?
We do not. They do not have accessible use to skis. They just groom the trails for now. I believe the closest option would be to look through Washington County for here in Cottage Grove. I haven't heard if Dodge Nature Center is doing anything yet over there, but I believe Washington County through Lake Elmo Park is the closest place that you can reserve or rent different varieties of cross-country skis to try. Thank you.
Okay, action items, Hidden Valley Park Improvement Plan.
Thank you, Vice Chair, members of the commission. So in 2025, the Hidden Valley neighborhood is scheduled for pavement reconstruction. Although pavement is not necessarily something we normally deal with, the exciting part is that when we go into these neighborhoods for pavement reconstruction, we do look at the parks and open spaces in those areas to see if there's any updates or upgrades that we want to invest in while we're in there kind of wrecking the neighborhood with construction activities. So those pavement management, it's two reasons why that's a good practice for us. One, it's just a good reminder every 20 to 30 years when pavement fails that we need to also look at our parks and make sure that they're up to date, make sure that there's no, something's not out of trend or everything's well kept and in order. And then secondly, it just gives those residents, pavement reconstruction isn't always the most glorious thing when you're living in the neighborhood and they come through. So maybe this is a little, this is an opportunity to take some pride in something that's reinvested into like the parks or the open space or whatever it is. So it's a good program. Hidden Valley Park is located in the center of that neighborhood. It's a 26-acre park between Hardwood Avenue and Hinton Avenue. And there's a small, there's fishing ponds and a bunch of open space. Most of it's open space, the fishing ponds and things like that. But there is a small, about 1 acre sized park in the middle of there, right off of Hidden Valley Trail, where there's currently a playground and 2 horseshoe pits, and that's it. So that's the area we're focusing in on. That park does get used quite a bit, so we want to try to find different ways to use it. Right now, we're looking at moving the trail around to create better ADA accessibility, and then eliminating the current paved trail that's there. So that would give ADA accessibility to the playground, but then also to this picnic plaza, we're calling it. So a large picnic slab with 2 or 3 picnic tables on it, a small shade structure. We do have to adjust where that is. I think on the current image, we have to move it to the south or to the east because of the power lines, but regardless, we can get a small shade structure under there, and then a couple of picnic tables, adding a landscaping feature at the entry to enhance that, so just some sort of a rock garden. And then we want to bring in some topsoil or some organics of some sort to improve the grass there. It's actually an old, 20 years ago, when the city used to put sand down on the roads, which we don't do anymore. Now it's just salt. But when they used to put sand down the roads, they would sweep them up and they would have somewhere to dump. Well, before there was too many homes there, that was one of the dumping sites. So not a lot grows there right now. So we'd like to scrape out the top couple inches and put some topsoil in there and try to get some grass to grow, which would be a pleasant upgrade to that park. So with that, we have the master plan before you. I wasn't able to get it on the screen, I'm sorry, but hopefully you had a chance to take a look at it. I'm here to answer questions, but looking for a recommendation to approve that master plan.
Motion to approve the plan?
I'll second.
So Chair, if I
Question?
could, so are we approving the plan or are we recommending to council that they approve the plan?
You're approving the plan as the commission, which I assume at some point the council will ask for that recommendation, and then we'll provide that to them.
Okay, thank you.
No changes to the playground, right?
No changes to the playground, other than moving the trail entrance there,
Yeah.
adding the picnic slab to it, and then adding that ADA accessible ramp, but nothing to the playground equipment itself.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to mention the sport court, the addition of that sport court. And again, I want to be clear that these might have to adjust a little bit just because of those overhead power lines, so don't get too locked into the exact location. But that is the plan. It's just a matter of how things have to shift to make sure they abide by the Excel easement there.
Okay. Any other questions?
I just wanted to mention about the shade structure. I actually know one of the women who is on the association, and she had mentioned a few months ago that she'd like to see a shade structure at the park. So I shared with her this plan, and so the neighborhood's very excited about that.
Good to hear. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? So Susie motioned. Do we have a second?
We had Commissioner Gustafson seconded.
Oh, sorry. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, Belden and Hardwood Park Playgrounds.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Members of the commission, I'm going to turn this one over to our Recreation Supervisor, Brad Muckenhern, to walk through the playground proposals.
Good evening, Commission. My name is Brad Muckenhern, Recreation Supervisor. So a few months back, we got into thinking of replacing Belden and Hardwood parks. Kind of what I have found with those smaller neighborhood parks is getting surveys out to those neighborhoods and getting the recommendation of the color scheme, the playground design, and receiving any other information from those residents tends to be a good thing, and it makes those residents feel like they are truly a part of this decision here tonight. So what I'm going to do is go through some of those survey results, and in the end, we'll be looking for some recommendations and hopefully some approval of a few new playgrounds for our community. So if you guys all had a chance to look over the packets that were provided, I also have them included in here. But as you can see here, Design 2 did come in with 14 total votes. And then we got Design 1 and 3 in second and third. We do have some color options here, and we can come back to these. But just so we are aware, electric is kind of our top choice, and retro coming in at second. So as we look here, again, electric being number 1. That is here on your left-hand side, a little blue, green, and gray color combination. It is important to note that these playgrounds are not the design. This is just the color scheme. So again, we got blue, green, and gray. Then we were looking at retro as well. Here's angelfish and meadow. Just some other options for you guys to see. And retro here on the left as well. Kind of that amber, green, and gray, and a little bit of orange mixed in as well. Citrus on the right, a little brighter greens and yellows with some blues. Kind of a good Cottage Grove color there. So Belden Park here, through Weber, was the number 1 choice. Offers some, 3 or 4 different total structures with a total of 4 swings, 2 being of the smaller children size. There's kind of a second look at that as well, kind of more up close of the smaller portion. Flagship was the second that came in. And as we look at those, just kind of see different platforms. It looks to have 1 less platform type facility on there. Does have a few more swings. And so we're looking for a recommendation on Belden Park for the playground design and color scheme. And we can go into some additional comments here after that if you would like. But some things that I would like you guys to look over is some of these responses. Those people don't necessarily make it to the meetings that we put on here. We might not hear their voice when we're out in their neighborhoods. But being able to read through some of these really, I think, is kind of eye-opening. Something that we might not think of as adults, the kids find awesome. And I hope that when these parents are doing these surveys, they're getting their kids involved. So it's kind of nice, especially here at Belden. This individual's looking for some more toddler swings. So something to keep into consideration there. There's a second one that says more swings. Bigger park. Sometimes out of the equation on that one. Just kind of going through all these here. If you want me to stop or go back, please let me know.
How many swings are there right now?
That I do not know off the top. I'd have to look back at the
Okay.
pictures that I took. I believe there's 4.
Okay, because it looks like on the one that was the most recommended design, it looks like there's 4.
There was 4, yep.
Yeah.
Kind of interesting how that works, right? You start seeing out the comments, say we want more swings, but the highest voted one was with only 4. So we'll just kind of continue through this one more real quick.
And for a neighborhood park, 4 swings tends to be adequate. I know there are times where there's not enough swings, but you can't always plan for the busiest times of the year only, right? So
So, kind of, as I was saying, we do have 3 total, proposals, 2 that came in at the most, 1 from Flagship and 1 from Weber. As a reminder, Weber was, the number 1 recommended choice from the public.
Brad, maybe put that image up real quick. And then I guess we'll just invite discussion.
I like number 3. Oh, I like number 3 the best. I mean, there's more swings, but it also has 2 separate play areas. So maybe one more geared towards the older kids and one for the younger kids. But I don't know. I like number 2 too, but I don't really love number 1, but it's not my neighborhood, so.
It certainly does look like, this Flagship does seem a little bit more spread out. It could be that that additional play structure in the middle of that playground makes the Weber choice feel a little tighter. But in general, it's a relatively small park.
I should note, though, the container size is the same
Okay.
on all of these, because we're reusing the existing concrete curbing. So if there's more space in there, that means there's probably less equipment. If there's more open space, right? So
It just looks more open because of
it's hard to
the
tell,
picture,
but
or do you think it is the size of the structure?
I feel like number 3 is like taller than number 1, so maybe that's why, like.
I don't know, but it does look like different, right? Am I crazy?
Yeah, but I think number 1 is like wider, it looks like a footprint, where the other one's like taller.
I think it could certainly be, kind of how the general photo is taken.
Sure.
Compared to the others. But yeah, as Zach mentioned, it is the same footprint. And I think we just need to decide, do we want the open space or additional structures and opportunities?
What were the actual totals again for the voting numbers? Do you know?
Absolutely. So as we look, design 2, which was Weber, and then design 1, which was Flagship, is 8. I did leave that 3 votes out, just in general. Kind of trying to stick with the top 2 on those, being that the second and third were so far apart.
So, Chair, I'm kind of confused, Brad, maybe it's just me, but I see design 1, I see design 2, I see Weber in more than one place. I'm not sure I'm looking at the same playgrounds as your pie chart, so I need you to clarify that for me.
Sure, absolutely.
Thank you.
Sorry for the confusion about that. So when I send out the survey to the residents, I try to keep it anonymous from what they're voting on, right? I don't want to say a certain business. I don't want them to have any biases towards businesses if they understand a Weber or a Flagship, or maybe their friend works there, whatever it might be. So when we're looking at the survey results, the second choice was Weber on the survey itself. Now the results, the number 1 result was Weber, if that makes sense. Sorry.
I'm still really confused. Can you put the chart up so we can
Absolutely.
see that?
I think on our thing, it says like listed in order of survey results. So then number 1, where it's not number 1 on his thing, is just the number 1 on votes on our packet.
Is that what it is? Because it looks like the chart says design 2 and the packet
Yeah.
says design 1.
Well, so I think that it says on ours listed, because the red and blue one's number 1, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So it's design 2 for the neighborhood. On
So
the survey.
there was 3 designs that were sent to the neighborhood residents. And so, as Kelly was saying, they're listed on the PowerPoint in the order of how they were voted on.
So Weber got the highest votes, 14 for one of their designs and 8 for another.
Correct.
Weber got the highest votes, 14 for one of their designs and 8 for the other. Which of Weber's designs got the 14 votes?
The one we were looking
Design
at.
number 1 or design number 2?
it is wrong between them, you're right, between the memo and the survey, because it says design 1 and design 2, so it is wrong. So Brad, just clarify that this is the preferred design out of the survey.
It is, yes.
So then the alternative design, the purple and yellow one would be the second highest votes.
In terms of maintenance or upkeep on the play equipment, have you found the Weber playgrounds to be better quality over the flagship, or have they been similar in terms of maintenance?
Both of which are fairly similar.
Okay.
Whether it's that or Little Tykes, they're all pretty much the same
Okay,
general maintenance-wise.
okay. Thank you.
And I should remind the commission, when we put a budget proposal on to the request for proposal, we do save some dollars so that if there's elements of one playground that you really like, but it didn't make it into the preferred playground, we can try to work with the playground designer to incorporate that. So if you say, I really like design 1, but there's this thing in design 2 that I really like, or more swings, or whatever it is. Now, we have to work within that container, so that can be challenging sometimes. But if you have those suggestions, we can try to work that, and we're usually pretty successful in getting something close to working, so.
I like the Weber design 1, but I really like the car in design 2.
Oh,
So I think it would be cool if
that
we
is
could,
cute.
the cars and the steering, they're just really fun.
Now, I do want to make sure
I like the design that got the most votes from the residents because it got 14 votes and the other 2 designs got 11 total. So I'm still not clear which design that is, but that's the one I like the best.
the blue and the red design is the preferred option in the survey. So I will say with the car, just note that that's not, you can't climb it. You can't, it's just
But you can pretend to drive it.
yes.
And talk on your cell phone.
And if we can fit that in there, that's fine, but if it comes at the cost of losing a climbing structure that's in the preferred option, I just want to make sure that we understand that. Because there's multiple independent climbing, and then there's a balance beam in the preferred structure, so there could be a trade-off there of, right? So one's more of the cognitive, one's more of the physical.
Do kids use, do we find that the kids use these extra climbing balance beam structures?
Yes,
They do?
yes. Sometimes they're the most popular thing in the park.
Okay. I mean, I know my littles would love to climb on that, but I'm just wondering if the older kids actually use them, so.
Yeah, and I would say older kids prefer that over the,
Slides and stuff.
I mean, stairs and platforms aren't all that exciting, right? Unless you're older where you're just hanging out and causing trouble, then maybe it's a little more exciting, but stairs and platforms aren't all that exciting. They cost a lot, so.
Sure.
We've been trying to move away from too many stairs and platforms, but
And those 4 swings that are pictured would be able to stay in?
yes.
So are we thinking we want to move forward with Weber?
Yes,
Do we
the
need a
Weber with the
motion,
most
or?
votes.
We do need to choose on a color design as well.
So do we need to make a motion on the design, Zach, or just say yes, we like it?
Design and color, please.
Oh, okay.
Motion for Weber design 1.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And now we need to pick a color?
We will go back and visit.
I haven't voted. I'd like a discussion on clarification of which design that is.
That is the red and blue
I vote
option.
yes.
That is the red and blue option in your memo, labeled Weber Design 1. So let's take another vote just to make sure that we're all on the same page.
All
So
in favor
what
of
I
Weber?
heard from the motion was in your memo, Weber Design 1, which,
On page
for
15 of
clarification,
your memo.
is the only red and blue design in the packet.
All in favor of Weber Design 1?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That
Thank you.
passes.
Color.
All right, we will go back through the color options here. Again, as we are looking, it does look like electric is standing out kind of above all the others, with retro at number 2 and meadow a close third.
The only question I have is, I know we've talked about this before, but are there certain colors that, if I remember right, there's certain colors that just don't last very long, like they fade quick? Is electric one of those combinations?
Commissioner Crabtree, yeah, typically purple, and then sometimes the reds. Those are the ones that we are most afraid of, so blues are pretty common. I wouldn't be afraid of those.
Okay.
Blues and greens that we're not afraid of.
And just so it's fresh, we got meadow and retro at number 2. Meadow is there on your right. And retro on the left here.
Because I'm super colorblind and I can't tell any of them.
So,
You can just take a motion on.
okay, I motion for electric.
I second, or I mean, yeah, second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, moving on to the next.
Nailed that.
You went with what the public wanted.
I like it. Oh, that's cute.
All right, so we are moving on to Hardwood here. Again, same thing. Sent out surveys to all the surrounding community, all the surrounding neighbors, in about a quarter-mile radius. And as we look here, design 1, 15 total votes. Design 3 and 2 came in at 6 and 4. I'll come back to colors here. This design 1 was voted on the most by the neighborhood. This was Flagship's design. This was Weber's. This was the second in the survey results. Here's a different viewpoint of Weber's. And this was the second submission from Weber that came in 3rd place.
What is the thing in the middle? Is that just monkey bars or what is that?
Are you talking the play structure?
Yeah, like that structure, what is that?
I believe that to be a sort of monkey bar climbing type activity.
Kind of interesting, isn't it? It almost looks like it's angled.
I was just gonna say that, yeah.
It looks like, and then there's like the three, like 4 like ropes or
If
something.
you look at ours, you can see it better. So see that.
Those are ropes, yeah.
Oh, now I
With,
see.
with little plastic climbing discs on them.
Oh,
Yeah, it's different.
Yeah, like those are at the, what's the one with the big sandbox park? Ideal? No.
Yes.
Yeah, those. My kids love those.
This one came in 3rd though?
This was the 3rd place design, yep.
so the first
I'll
one.
just go back through
Flagship.
towards, this was the 2nd place design. This is the back view of it. This is the front view of it. Kind of more your traditional structure, kind of flat running areas on the structure itself. A couple of slides.
Did they have any comments?
Yeah, I was just gonna ask that too.
Yep. You want me to look at design 1 more time real quick? Okay. This was the number 1 voted on design. There are 2 separate structures there in addition to the swings. Go back down to the comments here. Some things that stuck out to me with this, asking for shade, I think with people that utilize those facilities so much throughout the summer, having an area not only for the kids, but the parents or grandparents to stay at is something that I think is important, whether that be an actual structure or it's something that we think that we need to plant some sort of trees around. I've seen a few of those in here as well. I do like number 7 here, how they just appreciate, us asking for their input. This one's asking for complementary to nature and not crazy colors.
Understand the eczema.
A few benches for parents would be nice.
And those aren't in the pictures, but are those a part of the plan? Like, I don't see benches.
Benches?
Yeah,
Those will be included.
okay.
How many?
We always have at least one.
I believe there is one in good condition there, because I remember asking you regarding that. So there is currently one here at Hardwood.
Can we add more? Or no?
I think that would be something we would have to certainly discuss and look at.
Yeah, you could.
It's like it's a wanted thing.
Yeah, we could. I mean, they're, for budgetary purposes, they're probably $2,500, but we could do that.
Is shade and
Benches, shade,
natural colors.
pickleball, and basketball,
And dogs.
and dogs.
Some of the comments that do come back are,
Is there more shade at this park?
it is a more shaded park. I personally think, with the trees that are located relatively close to it. Depending on the time of day that you're there, though, the sun may be beating on a bit harder in certain areas of the playground. Probably in the earlier mornings, I would guess.
Most of the shade is, the shade trees are on the south side of the park, so that helps
Okay.
quite a bit. Brad, I want to be absolutely clear on our designs again here. So can you show us the top vote getter, which is the flagship option, right? So that's the top
Not
vote
on the
getter.
structures, right?
So the memo shows the next one as the teal and greenish colored one. So that shows number 2, which is listed as design 3. But that was actually, was that the second highest votes? Correct?
If that's within the memo, that might be correct.
And then the third, the last was the other one, which is the blue, royal blue and Kelly green color. So that would be the lowest rated.
That makes more sense.
Yeah, so in our packet they go.
Yes, so apologize
I
again.
apologize about that for the confusion.
Having the
oversight on
having
my
the
end.
two Weber's designs, we don't normally have that. Usually we have one from each vendor, but I think it's confused some things, so apologies for that.
Can we see the numerical votes on the first choice versus like the second one again?
So
Oh, okay.
Big difference.
I do like the spinny thing in number 1.
So this was the one with the most votes. I do find that the kids do really enjoy that spinning feature.
I
This
like
would
the
be
talking
number
thing in the
3
first one.
in the results.
Where's the other half of it, though? So if they talk in there, where's the other half of it?
Oh, what was in the other picture?
Oh,
Again, number 3 in the results. And number 2 in the results.
oh, okay. I wasn't looking up. Got it.
So I'd like to open it up for a little bit of discussion and hopefully come to a recommendation on playgrounds.
Do we know the neighborhood around this park? Like, is it little kids, big kids?
I don't know exactly the demographics on little or big kids. I do know there is some larger multi-unit housing on the east side of the park. But specifically regarding the ages, I don't have an answer on that.
The neighborhood was built in 2024, but as Brad said, there's quite a few townhomes, there's pretty high-end, single-family homes, so I think you have a good mix of every type of demographic there.
I mean, I like the first one.
I quite like that first one that was the most rated, partly because like the structures seem geared towards different levels of abilities and ages. I kind of think that climbing structure in the second one is fun, but it's also
Yeah.
not so useful for our short little bitties.
There isn't much climbing stuff though, like in the first one. Like the one that we voted on for the first park, right? There was that like extra like balance beam climbing stuff. For this one, there's just not much, it doesn't look like.
Wilson has like an actual monkey bars and like polo bar.
And it's got the
spinny thing.
second little,
There are 2 spinners there. You know, it could be possible if you want to add an independent balancing or climbing piece of equipment, we could look at doing that.
And it did get quite a lot of votes, so.
So to address the swings, so I saw a couple requests for more toddler swings, and then just in general, and we've heard it for years, more swings total. But in all the designs we've seen tonight from all the companies, it's always 4 swings, and there's always 2 regular ones, and then 2 either toddler or 1 toddler and 1, is it a friendship swing or is it a accessibility swing?
Either or, it could be either or, yeah.
Is that kind of a standard, or could we
Yeah.
add 2 regular swings in there somewhere, or?
Yeah, Chair, I think, as I mentioned to the commission before, I think 4 is adequate. I know there are times where there's gonna be an overload on the swings, but, you know, you gotta look, it's like a parking lot. You know, everybody sees it at the time it's filled up and they get frustrated, but I would say 99.9% of the time, there's a swing available. So it's, 4 swings is pretty adequate. We have a lot of neighborhood parks that just have 2 with 1 toddler swing hanging off the end. So this is actually a little bit more than a lot of our neighborhood parks.
I just wanted to throw in there that swing sets take up a lot of space. Their fall zones in that are a lot. It's 1.5 times the height of the pole, front and back. So you lose a lot of space with that, and it's half of the size to the side. That has to have fall zone all the way around it. So the more we add, the less of everything else you can have in the structure.
Okay.
I was to say, we go to a lot of these like little parks and rarely, or my kids are the only ones a lot of times, or like, it depends on the time of day, but
Okay.
there'll be like 1 kid on the swing.
That's how ours is too in our neighborhood.
Oh, see, at Arbor Meadows, I see more kids on the swings all the time. But, and the only other, I guess, suggestion I would have for this design is that random weird little chair out in the middle. Oh, it spins?
Yeah, it's a spinner. It's called a saddle spinner. It's meant to be like a saddle seat.
All right.
But again,
I would change it to a balance beam or something
so
like that.
there's two independent spinning pieces of equipment. So if you want to change that out to something climbing or balancing, we can look to do that.
Or adding like another,
Car.
so that it's not just one random,
It
maybe
just
like
looks weird in the middle.
two. Yeah.
Well, because you probably have to have a fall.
There's a pretty big fall zone on it. in case
Let's
they-
say it's fun, you know, you put
Splash
your kid
zone.
on there, and then you tell them to try to walk a straight line afterwards.
Okay.
Does anybody, more discussion, or does anyone want to make a motion?
Motion for a flagship with a balance beam instead of the spinny chair.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone
We'll move to a
opposed?
color design real quick.
Yeah.
As a reminder, the designs that we'll see are not representative of the playground. And as we're looking here, forest and meadow are our top choices.
Forest and meadow look almost the same to me.
Well, I-
Are they the same?
I think the only difference I could notice was that the poles in forest are brown, like tree
Oh.
trunks, and they're like this
Okay, now
muddy
I
gray
see that.
thing in the
Very
meadow
similar.
one.
They do look very, very similar.
Yeah.
And they did the common sale, so they wanted more natural colors, so.
Okay.
I'll look at a number 3 here real quick. Looks like citrus and angelfish, those are very bright colors. You got your greens and yellows and blues and citrus. And angelfish, toucan are the very bright ones.
I like forest.
Oh.
Does the dark brown stuff on the forest design, will that get hotter than the meadow stuff because it's a darker color?
I don't think that we get any hotter. We haven't had a problem. I will say that color is, what's there right now. We don't get complaints.
So
on
it's
it.
there right now, but they want more natural? Is that what they're saying?
It's not the exact same, but it's the same color scheme, which is like a
Oh.
burgundy, tan,
Yeah.
green, which is what a lot of our playgrounds are now, so. No, yeah. I think they're just, that the person there was just asking for not to have bright colors.
Oh, got it. Not too.
Yeah.
Any other questions regarding color options?
I'll make a motion to approve the playground in forest color.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
One opposed? All right.
That's all I have, folks. Thank
So
you.
forest and option number 1. That chair just looks weird to me.
I like those chairs, but it looks weird. I like one by itself. I'd be in favor of two.
I even like sitting on them as an adult,
Yeah.
just somewhere to sit.
Yeah.
So street parking concerns?
Thank you, Chair, members of the commission. Over the summer, we had a resident concerned about on-street parking at Granada Park as a result of the growth of pickleball activities. So we've visited with the resident and saw his concern. He sent pictures and everything else, and his concerns are valid. People are parking in front of the yard. There's some illegal activity in terms of the way they're moving their vehicles. Nothing beyond that, but whether it's parking in front of a hydrant or using his driveway for a turnaround and things of that. And he's got concerns just for the public safety in the area and also kind of an invasion of his privacy. So with that, we thought we would kind of bring it to a public process and see what we can do to try to mitigate the concerns. We've talked to the Public Works Department, our engineering folks, and our police staff. Our community liaison has actually went out and visited with him and tried to monitor the issue as well. And we brought this to the Public Services Commission in, I can't remember if it was October or November, but whatever their last meeting was, and reviewed it with them and did an open forum and invited residents to attend. That gentleman was the only resident that actually attended. So we invited him through a letter. So we did come up with, talking with that commission, we came up with a few different options, talked through some different options and potential pricing models and the impacts of what they might have. And they want feedback from the Parks Commission, which is a valid request. So we're bringing it back to you with a little bit more framework in place than we probably brought it to the Public Services Commission. So we've narrowed it down to 3 legitimate feasible options. The first would be street adjacent parking. So we would we would cut into the park, just kind of as it's shown right here. We would remove that, I believe that's an ash tree there, but I'm not 100% sure. But that large tree would get removed, and then we would basically, people would just, this is showing up on the screen, right? Yeah. People would just pull right off the street and pull in their parking stall. If you're familiar with Pine Tree Valley Park on Indian Boulevard, it would operate similar to that. That costs about $15,000. We do remove the large ash tree, a little bit of perimeter construction or concrete work, but pretty nominal cost for 8 to 10 parking stalls. And then the nice thing too is if you want to grow, you can continue to grow that pretty easily in the future if you need to. The second option is a dedicated parking lot. So you actually pull off the road and then have a dedicated parking lot of 14 to 16 stalls. This is about a $100,000 project because you have concrete curb and guttering. Obviously, there's quite a bit of asphalt in the base material. Striping. Once complete, I should note that it is difficult to expand just because of the footprint there. And then the other thing too is you are losing that green open space in the middle, which is actually designed as a recreational space. So that turf is meant to be to throw a frisbee, throw a baseball, football, whatever it might be. So you do lose that open turf space that's there. You can see you lose the majority of it. So that's about a $100,000 project. And then the third and final option, I shouldn't say the final, but the third option that we are currently considering feasible would be just to provide parking on one side of the street there. So we would say resident parking only or no parking on the south side of the street. The police department did recommend not doing resident parking only because that's difficult for them to enforce. There's a little bit of that parking like over by the high school, but again, they say it's very difficult to enforce. High school's a little bit different because they can hammer down on that zone a little bit better over there between student parking and non-student parking, I guess. But they did recommend against doing resident only, but they said if you want to do one-sided no parking, then they could enforce that a little bit better because they don't have to figure out who's a resident and who's not a resident. So this is a pretty easy one. It's just the cost of signs and things like that. Now, the problem with this, or the challenge to this one is that you're pushing the problem somewhere else down the road, right? So it might not be a problem for these 7 or 8 residents, but now the problem just shifted down to 7 or 8 residents down, further down the road. Theoretically, I don't know if that's true or not, but it seems like that's what would happen. So with that, looking for some feedback from the Parks Commission and perhaps a recommendation that I can bring back to the Public Services Commission to mitigate those safety and traffic concerns at Granada Park. And again, I just want to, it does seem to stem purely from the pickleball usage there. So that's why we're bringing it back to the Parks Commission.
Commissioner Olson?
Thank you. I like the idea of the street adjacent parking. That seems to make the most sense to me. Can we replace the ash tree
Yes. we
as part of
certainly
the
can.
project?
Yes, we certainly
In the park?
Yeah, we would move it further down the boulevard somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the tree's got to go, but
Yeah.
replace it with another faster growing tree. Okay.
Correct. Yep.
With that, I would like that option myself.
On a busy pickleball night, how many cars are typically parked on the street there now?
So that's the hard part. You know, we drove and myself and the mayor and other folks have drove and tried to find, the time varies and it's not always at night. Sometimes it's 9 a.m. on a Saturday morning and that's when there's a lot of pickleballers there and that's when kids are out also bicycling in the street. So it's hard to know. I mean, I've seen as many as 15 cars there. He says the resident says there's times where there's more, but 50, you can imagine 15 cars in front of, you know, he lives right across from the pickleball court. So they start there and then they work their way out. So he's seeing all those cars right in front of his house. So I would say on average, there's a couple or a few cars out there, but at its worst, I would say probably 15.
Are there any plans to increase the pickleball courts at this park, or is it just gonna stay those 3 courts?
Just those 3 would remain. And I will also say, I said at the Public Services Commission, this is a good problem to have. People are using the park. So I gave a little history lesson to the folks, to the Public Services Commission that the reason we put the pickleball courts in is we reinvested in that park. We put a new playground in, a picnic shelter, we did and the pickleball courts because we did a survey to the residents, say, all right, we're gonna put some money into this park, we're gonna reinvest, what do you want? And those were the things that people wanted in the neighborhood. So we reinvested, and now we have the other problem where so prior to that, we were getting complaints of the park wasn't being used, the tennis courts were dilapidated, and there was a lot of vandalism, and people were hiding out and doing who knows what. So we're in a much better spot now, I think, dealing with this concern rather than those concerns. So police reports are way down.
So with a dedicated parking lot, I can see it being a problem because it's farther away from the pickleball courts and people aren't gonna park in it, especially if the street parking is still open.
Correct.
But if we do the street adjacent parking, the whole block in front of the pickleball courts is still street parking, correct?
Correct. And if I can just add further, the other concern with that is unless you did resident only, which again, the police say is very hard to enforce. So if you live there, you lose the ability to park on your street now, which some residents may be very upset about that too. When they have guests and visitors and their visitors can't park in front of their house, so, or themselves.
I just wanted to mention that my family has tried to go around to all the new parks that have been put in this summer, and we did go to Granada, and it was really busy.
Okay.
So there was a lot of usage, and there were a lot of young families on the playground. So
Yeah.
I think it's a great addition to the park system, but I could see how some of the neighbors could be a little bit annoyed with just the additional use of the park.
Yeah, I would say I like the
feedback.
adjacent street parking because of like that situation too with the families, like I've seen them using that open space that you would be taking away for the parking lot for what is it, an added couple spots.
Did the resident have a preference?
So actually, we did not provide any options that were laid out like this. We had just kind of wanted to talk through it and we invited the neighborhood to attend. We wanted to get their feedback first. And so the Public Services Commission is bringing this back to you without seeing these 3 options right now. Now, they know those options exist. We didn't talk much about the adjacent parking. But we'll bring back whatever your recommendations are to them.
In the street adjacent parking, it talks about being easy to expand upon. What would that expansion look like if it was needed?
Yeah, because there's, so here's the image again. Because there's limited concrete, so the concrete would basically just run these three sides. And there'd probably be a little valley gutter or something down here, but it'd be very easy to just continue moving that parking to the west for nominal cost. So if you want to add 2 stalls, you add 2 stalls. You want to add 4 stalls, you add 4. You just keep moving to the west. Now, obviously, as you move, you're going to lose green space and or trees. But in terms of construction, that is a pretty easy change.
How did you land on 8 to 10 spots in this original proposal?
So Commissioner Waterman, I think it was either you or Commissioner Gustafson. There's still going to be on-street parking, but we think this will get enough cars off of the roads that you can do this, and then people are they're going to park in the closest spot, right? So they're going to park here, and then hopefully they're going to continue to park on the side adjacent to the park and fill that in, as opposed to trying to fill it on the other side of the road. Now, if there's 1 or 2 cars on the other side of the road, we don't think that's a problem, but right now they're stacking up car after car after car after car in front of the residents, to the point where, this gentleman's saying he can't even get his boat out of his garage, which, as you all know, I fish quite a bit. That would be very frustrating for me if I can't go out and fish the day I want to, but, and he does, right? He has to go over there and ask whose car it is and get it moved, but that's a frustration, so. But we think that this will take enough burden off with the amount of cars we're seeing out there. If we're seeing 15, it's kind of the spot where it's getting very stressful. If we can get 8 to 10 off the road, that's very helpful.
Would we identify some as disability parking, or?
We most likely would identify that first 1 or 2 as handicap accessible.
Any other
No,
comments?
actually, I think we should make that part of our motion.
I think 1 would be,
So-
I believe according to our engineer, we'd work with the engineers on what the requirements are, but for sure, we'd want to provide 1.
Any other comments? Want to make a motion? I assume we need a motion on this one, right?
I'll make a motion to approve a staff recommendation as stated.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So the motion was for street adjacent parking recommendation.
And then we'll work with the engineer team to see what the requirements are for handicap accessibility, but we'll make sure we provide at least 1.
Thanks, Zach.
I don't think so either. So, commissioner terms.
Just wanted to get in front of this in front of the commissioners. No action is needed tonight, but I just wanted to present it to you so you understand where you're at in your term and whether you have the option to renew or, let's just say it's your option to renew. Hopefully everybody comes back. But just wanted to make sure everybody knew when their term was expiring as we come up. February 28th is the last day of the current term.
I'm the only one that can't, right? Since it's my
I
fourth.
believe you are done, Commissioner Crabtree.
Sad day in February of 2026. We should. No, I'm just kidding.
We could have another pandemic. You could get another year.
No.
No.
Oh, yeah.
No,
Skip that.
thanks.
Thanks for the offer, though, Adam. Ow.
I'm sorry, I like you, but I'd rather
Goodness gracious.
Referendum results.
Thank you, Chair, members of the commission. RAP Strategies was our communications team liaison or contractor. So they provided a post-election summary of that 2024 referendum where those 3 referendum questions had failed. So I just thought I'd provide that to you, and I can try to answer any questions you might have, but really just providing the information.
Anyone have any comments or questions? All right. Action updates?
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to provide some updates on a few things that the commission has worked on. I know it's been a while since we've met, but A.Denzer Park, we've done some initial site grading. Actually, we just awarded, the city council just awarded a contract to do some final grading out there so that we can hit the ground running in spring of 2025, where we will fulfill the master plan that was included in your packet. We do have a playground design, which if you haven't seen that, I think that one turned out really neat. It's actually a nod, I can't remember if I mentioned in there, but it's a nod to the family that the park is named after, that you may recall, Jack Denzer. He was the owner of Jack's 76 service station down on Belden Crossing, which I played Little League Baseball for his team. And it was the colors, right? So there's a little hidden 7 and a 6 in there as a balance beam. I did talk to the family and mention that we were doing that. I wanted to make sure that we weren't bringing up any bad memories. It was all good memories, and they confirmed that this was very neat. They're very appreciative. So I thought that turned out really neat, and I'm pretty proud of that one. So just letting you know that we're moving forward on that, and we'll be working on that probably all next spring and summer. And, maybe we'll be ready by fall, but we'll see where construction season takes us. Cottage Grove Trailway Corridor Habitat Restoration, I did include the letter that we sent out. Commissioner Crabtree made the good suggestion to getting back in front of the residents, so we did send that letter out and let them know that we are doing some work there. So we've spent the summer killing up the vegetation, and now actually starting tomorrow, they're gonna do some of that tree editing work. So they'll be in there doing a lot of tree removal tomorrow, preparing the site for that habitat, prairie restoration / woodland restoration in those areas closer to the homes. We do have a couple of sheds that have to be removed from the property. I've met with both those homeowners, so we're in a good spot there in terms of getting that mitigated. So things are moving well there. Any questions on those first two before I keep running through? And then moving on to Oltman, Mississippi Dunes, park grants. As you may recall, we got $350,000 park grants for each of those, so $350 for Mississippi Dunes and $350 for Oltman. Mississippi Dunes, we're just holding tight right now as we try to figure out if there's additional 3M settlement priority 2 money. And then also there's probably some fisheries funding for the boat ramps and things like that. So we're trying to figure out how we can piece all these improvements together before we start spending any specific one. But that's a good start there with the $350,000. The Oltman, because that one expires a little bit sooner than the Mississippi Dunes, we do want to get started on that one. So we are doing plans and specifications right now for that, and we're hoping to have that presented to council by January so that we can actually start to bid out that project sometime this late winter, early spring. And then the last is the Kingston Park building. We've gone back and forth on the design, trying to get the budget and the final design into the right spot for council. We've separated the shelter from the building, which has saved some costs, and also offered the ability to run simultaneous programming with 2 different types of events or uses, with the shelter over here and the building over here with a separation in the middle. So we're working on that, but we are at about 90% completion of the plans and specifications. And then we'll bring that back to council for final approval. And then I would expect that right now, the direction of the council is to construct in the summer of 2026. So we probably wouldn't bid that out until end of 25 or early 26.
After Strawberry Fest?
The
Or
goal would
before?
be after Strawberry Fest and after 4th of July to break ground, yeah. Or just do a winter construction, so one of those. But the goal is to avoid June through September, with all the major events.
Got it.
Any questions on those? That's all I have. Oh, I'm sorry, one more. City Council did approve the site power upgrades to Kingston Park. So they wanted to get ahead of that. So we have to bring power in from Indian Boulevard with the new transformer. There's not sufficient power there for the new building that we're planning. Plus they wanted to add power around the central parking lot there. So that bid did get accepted by council, and that project will happen this spring. So for Strawberry Fest, we'll actually have outlets on all the parking lot lights, but we're also adding parking lot lights. So I want to say there's 10 parking lot lights that'll now have power outlets on them. So when we have vendors for Food Truck Festival, Strawberry Fest, 4th of July, they'll have a spot to get power, so.
Be excited, Jim. Be excited.
I feel it.
Oh, he's not on the camera to show his excitement. All right, River Oaks update.
River Oaks. Do we keep going?
Ice or
Are you on updates?
Yes.
Yeah, just submitted the staff reports and educational material. If you have questions on it, we can take them. Otherwise, that was just informational only.
Historic preservation?
Commission comments? Yeah, I guess I'll turn it over to Commissioner Olson.
Yeah, I did. I'm glad we're running early tonight, because I did have a couple things I wanted to talk about. I was able to attend the Advisory Committee on Historic Preservation, which I'm our liaison to that committee. So I attended their last meeting, and I want, that agenda and all that's available to everybody. You guys can go look at it. But I asked them to pull in, which Zach did, to our packet, the 1945 to 1990 context study. And what that really, my sense of what it means is they are investing in a study of the development that took place during that time period. So buildings, structures, things like that of significance that are man-made. They're going to create an inventory of what might be worth preserving from a historical standpoint. So I just thought it was a really interesting thing, and they're supposed to have their final report, I think, in June of next year. So I'm going to make it my business to try to be at that meeting. But if I can't, I might even ask that one of you attend, because I really think it'd be neat to see the output from that. Because they're really getting a view of everything that they're kind of responsible for in that window of time. So I just thought it was really interesting. Then the second thing, which is on the slide in front of us, at the county park, the last county Parks and Open Spaces Commission meeting, one of the agenda items was regarding the Land and Water Legacy Program. And just to remind you, that was a program passed several years ago by Washington County residents that approved what is similar to a local option sales tax, although I'm not sure that it's under that rule, but it was a sales tax. And it funded, in effect, $20 million worth of bonds that have been used to create conservation easements on lots and lots of property in Washington County. Now, one of the neat things about this is it's extremely popular with landowners, because they can receive a pretty nice sum of money, just like the city of Cottage Grove received in order to purchase some of the land for our park at Mississippi Dunes. A big chunk, was it 250, Zach, or 350?
500,000.
$500,000 came out of that fund in order to help us purchase that park in the form of a conservation easement, which does restrict what we're allowed to do in that park. So we use that money to buy land in the areas that we want to keep as natural as possible. So the county commissioners made the decision this year not to put this on the ballot, because we're almost out of money. And they were nervous that there might not be success in the ballot. Plus, both the cities of Woodbury and Cottage Grove approached the county and asked them not to put it on the ballot, because they both had local option sales tax initiatives on the ballot this year. So what happened was the county found a way to fund the program for another 2 years. So we have money to work with. We're looking at new properties to put easements on. So this is really, really good news. And then we'll go to the voters again in 2026 is the current plan. So I just wanted to bring you up to date on the Land and Water Legacy Program. I am a big fan of this program. The thing about land is, once it's gone, the houses are built on the golf course, we're never going to get that land back again to have for a park or to just conserve. So I am really invested in the notion that we should approve this if we do put it up for a ballot in 2026. So I'm going to keep coming forward and sharing with you all the great things that are happening. This is one of them. So in each and every one of these, there's a partnership with somebody else. So it's not just Washington County. It's another type of program that is putting money and effort into helping us conserve these lands. So in this case, they're using a grant of funding, and maybe we go to the next slide now. Tells a little bit of what this is all about, and this is in your package, so you can dig into it more. But in Woodbury, there are 3 parks, Prairie Ridge Park, Valley Creek Park, and La Lake Park, where we have we've put easements on land owned now, because of the money that they were able to get, by the city of Woodbury. And for the first time, the county is going to actually execute on some of these stewardship action plans in these 3 parks. And that's going to happen over the course of this summer. And particularly Prairie Ridge is right off of 19, just as you're getting up to 94. So we have a great opportunity to watch them do this work. A lot of work that Zach and his team do all the time right here in the city parks of Cottage Grove. But let's just scroll through now. I think there's one for each of them. So you can see what's happening at this park. They're making these woodlands come back, and these are the acres they're restoring and how much they're enhancing. Now, on the next park, you'll see it's not as much at Valley Creek, and then the next one is even a little less at La Lake. But this lake is really important. All these things have to meet these criteria for the Land and Water Legacy Program. And now the county, and they're nervous about it too. It's interesting to listen to them talk to us about what they're setting out to do, because they've never used these funds to actually make improvements before. Because you're not required to make the improvements. You're not required to do anything as a landowner. You're required not to do things like not build gas stations there and stuff like that. But they want to, and I think it's the right thing to do, the city of Woodbury wants to, so in this partnership, they're now investing in actually executing on these plans which will recover the land into a more natural state. So it's just really exciting, and you can probably tell by how we talk about it, I'm kind of into it. And so thanks for letting me share with you. Let's see what now I can't remember what the rest of the slides are, but here's what they're going to do next. So it's just, we are blessed to live not only in a wonderful city, but also in a wonderful county that's extremely well financed and is doing a lot of the right things. And we're the last bastion between development and the St. Croix River. So we need to do these things, and thanks for letting me share this with you.
And I'll just jump on too, if I may, that the restoration component is a huge boost to us, because as Commissioner Olson says, typically they'll help you get the land, but then once you get the land, you have the stewardship plan that you've put in place, and the city's responsible for doing that on their own, which we usually get grant funding support from Minnesota DNR and others, but now if we can get county support to do that, that's a huge win for all of us. So, because it's one thing to have the land, it's another thing to do something positive with that land. So this is a great opportunity.
Any questions? Dave or Zach? I guess I work for the county too, but.
I'm sorry?
Oh, I see. If there's any questions. Oh.
Absolutely. If anybody has questions, I love talking about this.
Otherwise, also the time for any other commissioner comments on any other topic.
Well, I apologize for being late today, everyone. I went through the entire day thinking it was Tuesday, and Sam informed me it was not.
You should have picked Friday, if you're gonna be thinking that way.
Any other commission comments? We don't have council here, any?
No, other than I put in all the agendas since the last, so if you have anything on there, I can try to answer them if you have any questions with any topics the council has been considering taking action on.
I'll move to adjourn.
Anyone want to second that?
Second, yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, we're adjourned.
Who seconded it?
Me?
Sam.